Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 7th day of May 2024. It is Tuesday of the 5th week of Easter. It is the 38th day of the Easter season. And because it is Tuesday, I must be in Manhattan. So here we are. I'm at the St. Francis Friary once again, like I was during the season of Lent, to do a workshop for the friars here at St. Francis. Now I'm doing one on the Liturgy of the Hours for the friars here at St. Francis Friary in New York City. So a wonderful, beautiful day in New York. It is not humid. It is not. What do you call it? When it's all gross and awful outside, it's not that way here in New York City. So there's a delightful breeze, and it is sunny and clear. Very nice, kind of coming away from all the rain and stuff like that was in Raleigh itself. So just here for the day, leaving tonight and coming back to Raleigh tomorrow. Today's readings. Paul is now with Silas. So again, he over the course of time, he and Barnabas separate. Sometimes it's thought because they didn't agree on the mission. Sometimes it was more the fact that St. Francis, or that St. Paul was going to go on one way and Barnabas was called to go another way to continue preaching. We never really hear about Barnabas' preaching though anymore. Now the whole focus is always on Paul, so now he has been joined by another missionary, Silas, and they are in the city of Philippi, again another coastal city along the Aegean Sea in Greece, and they've been unwelcomed there, and so they're stripped and beaten with rods and things like that, and they're thrown into prison, and they sing and pray to God, not necessarily it seems for deliverance, but I guess perhaps just for guidance, and a great earthquake comes. And is that earthquake a divine deliverance or not? It never specifically says, but it is an earthquake. The doors of the cells of the prison are broken, and the jailer, one of the guards, wants to kill himself because if the prisoners escape, again, that was his punishment in some way. So, but Paul says, no, don't do that. We are here. And the jailer, I guess, taken by the honesty or the authenticity of the genuineness of Paul and of Silas and some of the other believers, basically says, can I learn about this Jesus too? And so they teach him, and he then is baptized, and his family is baptized, and I guess they go over to his house, and he makes them dinner, and they have a wonderful time together. So, it's all of these narratives, again, are basically to show us, again, how the mission keeps succeeding. There's not much to take from it, I guess, except to think about sometimes if you are doing, if you pray to God, there'll be some deliverance. And yes, but it might not be the deliverance that you expect. But the idea is also to help those who may be dumbfounded or who may be frightened by what your belief happens to be. And rather than trying to punish them for their disbelief, it is to invite them to try to believe and to see what it is that belief can offer to them. Kind of runs a tad bit contradictory to what Jesus says in today's gospel. Again, the Last Supper discourses continue. Jesus basically is again saying he is going to leave them, and then he gets angry because none of you have said, and none of you have bothered to ask where I'm going. And that is always an interesting kind of a thing. That Jesus gets a little bit. He always got a little bit uppity with the apostles after a while, and so And basically, he says that you don't ask me where I'm going because you're grief-stricken that I'm going to be leaving. But don't worry, again, the advocate is coming, again, another promise of the Holy Spirit. And because of that, what the Spirit is going to do is going to help to, I guess, bring a kind of judgment upon the world. That there is a judgment against sin, a judgment against, something else. The other one is condemnation. It's sin, something, and condemnation. I really have to work with these things better. But again, it is, sin, righteousness, and condemnation. Yes, sin, righteousness, and condemnation. Sin because people don't believe in Jesus. Righteousness for those who dare to, and then condemnation, again, for those who did not, believe in Jesus. Well, again, in the story of Paul, this jailer who was, going to kill himself because these apostles had escaped and whose job was to make sure that they didn't, again, is invited to come, to be a part of the Christian message, to be a part of the Christian community. It is not just about either or. And again, sometimes in John's gospel, there is a little bit of this great battle between, good and evil, which some people can kind of get from that, and that Jesus basically conquers, evil by by the hair of his teeth. And you know, it's like, and that's not really what happens. God is always victorious, always. And we just have to realize that and have to believe that. But what Paul is trying to offer us is not, again, those who don't believe aren't necessarily going to be condemned, and it isn't that they are wrought in sin. It's basically, what can we do to bring people who do not believe into the wonder and beauty of this faith, into the wonder and beauty of who and what we are, again, as believers in this world. That, again, is always our mission, not to separate and to divide, but to unite. And again, the Easter season always points us in that direction of bringing together what has fallen apart, which is a very Franciscan principle. And so again, to live in that way allows us to be able to see the more that God offers us. And from that sight, allow us to see the wonder and beauty of God's creation. A continued blessed Easter, St. Francis and people of God. A happy day from New York City. May the Lord give you his peace.